Walking along maintenance road. Gotta jump into this little grove of pine trees. I've mentioned it many times. You can Google it. St. Patrick's County Park. These pine trees are planted in a formation that spells out St. Patrick's from an aerial view. You can even find photographs of that view. I suggest you Google it. I always suggest you Google all the parks I hike at. A lot of interesting backstories to all these locations. Of course, every location has a story. If you just do a little bit of work, a little bit of research. Quick look at the map of St. Patrick's County Park. Just pulled in and parked here in the parking lot. I'm going to walk the outskirt trails on the west side of the park today. Whoa, comes all the way around here. It's about a 2.5 mile hike, and we'll see how it goes. Look at how fantastically green everything is. So beautiful. Now there is a trail that goes through, down through here. I think it's been a while, so I think we're gonna walk down the service road. There's a service road that runs on the very north side, separates St. Patrick's Park from Madeline Bertrand Park. The two parks used to be connected. That's part of the backstory. These parks separated some time ago. This is the service road. You hear these bugs off to the right? You hear that? I love that sound. I like to call those August bugs because they get very loud in August. I do believe they're just crickets, grasshoppers and such. But I love the sound they make. And it gets really loud in August. It's a very prevalent sound. So just one of my favorite sounds to listen to. Anyhow, what's happening, everybody? Suburban Hiker, kicking rocks on day 48 of my 500-mile walk. Map of my walk shows 0 distance, 0 duration. Let's start this workout. Today is Wednesday, July 24th, and this is mile 157. I haven't walked since the last video. I think that was a week and a half ago. I've been busy, as I mentioned, back to work, getting caught up, getting back into the routine of working. I'll talk about that here in just a minute. Before we get too far along, I'm going to ask you to please do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel, click like on the videos, watch the videos, and leave some comments. I really like the comments I get. I love to communicate with you guys. I greatly appreciate all of that interaction. That's some of the most fun about making these videos, for all the people I've been meeting from all around the world, even other parts of our country here in the United States of America and other continents. It's been really cool getting to know you guys, talk to you, and follow along on all the stuff you do. All my RV people and the other hikers. It's been a lot of fun. So go ahead, subscribe, and drop some comments. Let me know what's going on for you guys. It is just after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The weather is fantastic and has been great all this week. It's currently 75 degrees, 44% humidity. Just a fantastic day to be out walking, hiking in the woods. I still don't have the air conditioner and heat taken care of at the house yet, but that we've been surviving. It hasn't been that bad. Of course, for those of you my age, much like myself, you probably grew up without air conditioning, so it's really not a big deal. However, I do believe this Friday we are going to start the process of ordering and installing the new heat and air, so that'll be cool. Right here behind me, this whoa, right there, that's the little trail that, well, let's see, there it is, that unofficially connects St. Patrick's Park to Madeline Bertrand Park. Again, they were connected at one time, and apparently there were differences between the owners, so they split it up. Two separate parks. Anyhow, let me spin this around. I noticed in the last video I didn't get a whole lot of the scenery. It was just me chatting. Now we just turned at the corner of the park, and this is part of the trail that goes through that I pointed out at the beginning of the video, that goes through the pine trees that spell out St. Patrick's in the aerial view. Boy, those bugs are loud. I love them. I really do. We're getting near. This is just about my favorite time of the year. The days are really hot, although today's not bad. But then the nights get nice and cool. I just love the sounds of nature that exist in this time of year. There is a slight breeze. I'll try to be mindful of that, and hopefully the camera won't pick up too much wind. One of the things I noticed editing that last video, there were spider webs on the lens. It was causing a little bit of a focus issue here and there. I hope I cleaned them off. That's the problem with making these videos. You don't know what they're going to look like until it's too late. Oh, I'm going down a decline here. Have to watch my footing. As I mentioned, getting back into the routine of working. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning for work. I like to be very alert by the time I get to work. So I wake up at 3:30, I drink a pot of coffee, and I make another pot of coffee to take to work with me. I leave the house about 5 in the morning. It's, as I mentioned, it's great to be back to work. I feel fantastic. All the walking and hiking really helped start getting me back into shape. And I also mentioned I started working out with the granddaughter 3 times a week. Here's a little wooden bridge. Let's get this on camera. This is just such a fantastic day. Here's the St. Joe River. This runs on the very west side of the park. And then there's just a little brook that feeds into the river. Neat stuff to see. So anyhow, back to work. And feeling fantastic. My back, I promise you, I feel my back is 99% fantastic, and I attribute that to the walking and the hiking. There's a shot of one of the multiple pavilions here at the park. Looks like they have about 10 picnic tables in there. And they have stationary grills laid out to use. Of course, they have trash cans set up. Really is a nice little park. I do believe it's about 480 acres, but it's a great place to come. They have quite a few miles of trails. Like I said, the outside loop here on the west side of the park is 2.5 miles, and of course they have intersecting trails that go through the park as well. And then on the east side of the park, I hike frequently, and there's quite a few videos of that. That outer loop is just over 3 miles. I would suggest in all, if you were to hike all the trails here in one day, it's probably, I'd say at least 10 miles of hiking, which would be a great day to spend the day. That would probably take me about 5 hours to hike that, maybe, depending on how quickly I was moving along. Now it's gotten dark again. A lot of old growth trees in this little section. It's pretty cool. I think, you know, it's like a tunnel through the woods. Let me spin this around. I can still talk while like I say, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can see how dark it is. So much shade in here. It's really fun to walk through. We're coming up on a little wooden teepee. I've talked about this in other videos here. This teepee, so far as I know, has been built by people who come to the park. Oh, little squirrel. And has been here for as long as I've been coming to the park. I know my granddaughter put some of those sticks on there 8 years ago. Maybe even longer ago than that. Let's get a look at this. I'll show it to you again. There's the entrance. You go in. It's built up around 2 trees, but it's pretty sturdy. And again, it's been here for at least 8 years that I know of, if not longer. And I think if you go to the St. Patrick's website, they actually talk about that TP. I saw a headline somewhere, and I think it was on their website. But, and of course, we're coming up to another wooden bridge over a stream that feeds into the St. Joe River. A little babbling brook. St. Joe River's out that direction. The rest of the park is this way. Can you hear that? It's really peaceful out here today. I've probably seen 15 cars, but I've not passed anyone yet on the trails. So anyhow, back to talking about work. As I mentioned, I get up at 3:30. I leave the house just after 5. Work starts at 6 in the morning. But I like to get there a little early and get a jump on the day. The beauty of this job is that largely I get to leave when I am done and still get paid for the full day. So far, the earliest I've gotten out is 10 in the morning. about 4 hours of work. And the longest I've worked so far has been an 8-hour day. And I have no intention of doing more than 8 hours. But, so once I get adjusted to the routine, I'm hoping to be able to start hiking every day again. Part of the tricky part of that is the timing of it, of course. But I've already walked 8 miles. I according to my Fitbit tracker that I wear at work, my little wristlet here, I walked 8 miles at work, just doing my job. And again, I work on ladders. Let's see if I can find out. I have been climbing quite a few floors. Today I did 20 floors of ladder climbing. And of course that's up and then 20 back down. But I'm telling you, my back's been feeling great, and that was the whole reason I started this hike, this 500-mile walk, was so that I could get my back in condition. And I want to lose some weight. Not necessarily because I want to be slim and slender. I do need to get slim and slender, just to feel optimal. I'm not too concerned about my visual appearance, but I want to lose the weight and get my blood pressure down. Just want to be healthy. I heard something splash in the water, and I'm getting there. I mentioned in the last video, tossing around the idea of cutting this 500-mile walk short so that I can make other videos and do other kind of stuff. However, I think I'll just keep walking, and I can still make other videos. I don't have to walk every day in my downtime. I mean, I can make other videos that have to do with hanging out in the woods. Why not? If I feel like making a hiking video, well, I'll do the math and make a hiking video. And if it works out that I want to build a fort in the woods, well, I'll do that instead. Here's a cool shot of the field where the osprey nest is. And that's the nest up there. I'm going to try to zoom in because I can see the osprey sitting up there, at least one of them. I just heard him chirp. See him? How cool is that? See if I can zoom in a little more. Oh, that was cool. Sorry about the shakiness of the camera. What a magnificent looking bird. Let me see. Whoa, sorry. There we go. Let me zoom back out here. You hear that? Anyhow, it's a man-made nest. There's information online at the website, St. Patrick's County Park, South Bend, Indiana, United States of America. They also have an eaglet's nest, or an eagle's nest, on the east side of the park. That was not man-made. I believe it was the nest for, I want to say, red hawks. But eagles took it over, and then they had eaglets earlier this year. There's a webcam actually of the nest. I have not used it myself, but there on the site is a webcam of the eaglet's nest. I'm not sure what it shows or if it's still showing, but that was a pretty cool feature earlier this year when the eaglets were born. As I mentioned, I've already walked over 8 miles today just at work. I am all caught back up. It didn't take too long. I couldn't have been much farther behind when I started there, but I got it caught up pretty quickly. My partner and I was averaging about 12 miles a day at work. So I had to keep running back and forth between two buildings until I got caught up and working in the stations we're supposed to be in. So now it would appear, I think for the last 5 days, I've been averaging about 8 to 10 miles a day at work. However, we have had some material shortages, and I'll have to get those caught back up when those materials show up. So it'll probably be closer to 10 miles a day. So that makes it a little tough after I get home to want to come out and go walk another 2, 3 to 5 miles, depending on the time of day. If I have time to get out, as soon as I get home, I am more inclined to go. But as the night gets later and it gets close to 7 or 8 o'clock, I feel a little less likely to go hiking. Actually, in order for me to get 8 hours of sleep a night, I have to be in bed by 7:30. The only problem is, according to my Fitbit, I only sleep on average 5 hours and 15 minutes a night. And that includes any naps that I get during the day. I only sleep between 4.5 to 5.5 hours a day, or a night, whichever you want to call it. I try to sleep. I just don't do it very well. As soon as I begin to stir, my brain starts working, and there's stuff I want to get up and start doing. One of the fascinating aspects of hiking here at St. Patrick's Park, as frequently as I do, is now that all the foliage has come in and we're in the middle of summer, all these trails look completely different. It's like it's brand new trail again that I haven't seen yet. A lot of areas, a lot of spots along the trail are much more narrow looking, with the foliage coming in on the trees and bushes and shrubs and all the undergrowth. You hear these birds? They're making a ruckus. Sounds of nature. You know, I don't know if I mentioned it in the last video or not. I know I did mention that we're in the middle of a heat wave. Temperatures right around the mid-90s. The humidity levels had skyrocketed up into the 85th percentile and above. With all the walking I had done at work, and even the hiking I had done on the side, it was very important that I keep my hydration in check. Just drinking liter after liter of water throughout the day and orange juice and V8 juice in the coffee. And even today, even though it's not hot or anywhere near hot, I do have a little sweat going. Had a little sweat going at work. And I still have to make sure to drink all the liquids I can stomach. And what reminded me of this right now is that I'm getting cramps in my legs as I walk right now. And that's a sign of can be a sign of dehydration and fatigue. But so when I get home, actually when I get back to the car, I have a bottle of water in the car. But I need to be sure to load up on my juices and waters and everything else. I got heat stroke once, and that stuff's no joke. It was actually the absolute worst hangover I ever had in my life, and I didn't even drink. It's a peculiar, very, very peculiar symptoms involved with heat stroke. Complete and utter disorientation and just screaming headache. And your body just seizes up. It's pretty strange. It's a very strange experience. I don't suggest it to anybody. Give a look at what I'm seeing out here. These purple flowers. Let me switch to the other side. I don't know if the sun is blocking that off or not. We have these oranges coming in here. Little butterfly. You guys see the orange flowers? There's some more purple over here on this side. Pretty cool. Now that the grass is taller, you can see the animal trails here where the deer will bed down. I had been seeing a lot of deer here at the park this year. I don't suspect I'll see any now. They don't tend to move around a whole lot this time of day. Of course, the last time I said that, I saw some. We just crossed the service road, heading into another little meadow, I guess you would call it. You guys see those purples out there? I have very well maintained trails here. You can see it's been relatively freshly mowed, I'd say within the last 2 days. Of course, here's where one of the trails goes off to the left and continues forward. If you live in the area of South Bend, Indiana, I strongly suggest you visit St. Patrick's Park. They didn't even have a gate fee today, and I don't think they do during the weekdays. I think it's only on weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can always call them, find out just exactly when they do and don't charge a fee. As crazy as our weather has been this year, with all the precipitation we had for the first 5 months, just rain after day after day after day of rain. And then we had a nice long dry spell, and the heat skyrocketed, and humidity was up. Now it's back down to cooler temperatures. There aren't a lot of bugs. I was concerned there might be more bugs. But here at this particular space, there aren't a lot of bugs. Everything's still very, very wet here in the wooded areas. I'm not sure the last time it rained, maybe a couple days ago. But there's still moisture on the trail and everything's a little damp, but the mosquitoes I haven't had one yet bother me, so the mosquitoes are down. That's nice. I suppose maybe if I went off trail, you know, and started trouncing through the undergrowth, maybe I'd stir up some more bugs, but there's nothing going on that would cause me to want to stay away, so that's nice. Ooh, I hear a fly, probably a deer fly. Of course, my August bugs that I call, I can hear them coming and going. Here they come. More trail footage. Again, you can see how dark it is here on the trail. A few spots here and there where the sun comes through. It's only about 4:30 in the afternoon. The sun is very high in the sky, but it gets filtered out by these trees. Makes for a neat hiking trail. Just tripped on some roots. You can see how thick the trees are in here. A lot of new growth trees in here as well. How dark it is. That's just so cool. How dark it can be in the middle of the day. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's fantastically blue. I don't know if you guys can see up through the trees or not. Maybe when I get back out into the open, I'll show you that. More trails going into the woods here. This is the trail we just came out of. And then here's one that cuts back in through the woods again. You can continue forward. We're going to come off to the right here. This little section here, it's really cool. Towards the middle of August, when the grasshoppers start growing up, they just start bouncing all over here. It's like popcorn. I mean, there's just thousands of them. It's really neat to walk through. Coming up on the covered bridge right up there. Here's the windmill. I've used that windmill in a few shots. Let me see if I can zoom in on it a little bit. It's not really milling today. Now that part we just walked through, that is talking about the grasshoppers. There's a couple apple trees. This is part of an orchard. Here's the covered bridge going over this little brook and stream. Anyhow, this was an orchard, an apple orchard here, and of course they have grapevines too. This used to be a working farm. I'm not sure. Holy Cross school, college. Anyways, do some Google research, and they used to supply food to the Holy Cross and Notre Dame. And this was, I think this was a fully functioning farm up until the 70s, 1970s. I do believe is when they stopped doing that. And I'm not sure how the city acquired this land, if it was donated to them. They still do a lot of work with Notre Dame. The east side of the park is an ecological farm. They're doing research with Notre Dame. Again, all that data online. Here's one of the ponds. I'll scooch in. I'll get a better shot of it from the other side, but here's an area just to show you from this side. This is one of the ponds we fished here. Brought the granddaughter here and her boyfriend. And you come around the side here. I'm not sure how deep it is. You can see bottom most of the way out. If I had to guess, I would say a majority of this is only a couple foot deep. You can see fish. I don't know if you guys will be able to see them in the camera or not. Bunch of little bluegill just swimming around in here. I don't know. I can't see in the monitor if you can see them or not. And then you'll see bass swimming around just on the outskirts, waiting to get those bluegill. I do believe out in the middle of that pond, it probably gets about six to maybe 8 foot deep. You can't really tell how deep it is, but because there's algae growth and that comes up from the bottom, it's attached, so that would suggest that it's not very deep. It might not even be 6 foot deep. We haven't pulled any big fish out, mostly just little bluegills, but we do try to get out to the middle of the pond, and there are bass in there. Got some cattails growing up. That's cool. Anyhow, we've caught some 8-inch bass maybe in here. Of course, they're not keepers. You toss them back. But now I am back on the service road. Grape house was just back behind me, and the pond is just on the other side of those trees there. See my car? It's probably 100 yards away. Let me spin this around. I can show you the red barn. Used to be a dairy barn. Whoop. There's the guard shack coming in. This is all a part of the grove of pine trees that I walked through. These particular trees do not spell out anything. But that on the other side of those trees is what I call the east side of the park. This is the entrance road. And the east side of the park has several miles of trails. Again, the outskirts of that side, those trails are 3.3 miles, I think. And of course, if you follow all the loops and everything, it's probably 5 miles in all. Anyhow, I'm getting close to the car. I'll go ahead and start wrapping this up. If you could do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, like the video. You can share the video on your favorite social media platforms. I always appreciate that kind of stuff. Oh, look at these. We have some flowers here. I know I'm supposed to be wrapping this video up, but there's just cool stuff everywhere. Like I mentioned in my last video, I don't think I got a whole lot of the scenery. I was too busy yakking. Too busy yakking. I'm gonna find a shady spot and wrap this up. There's nice shady spots under these little pine trees here. Alright, here's a semi-shady spot. We'll wrap this up. I did 2.5 miles, 2.46 miles today. Let me pause that. Hold the finish.
Workout pause.
And I'm even going to click save.
Workout finished.
Yeah. Alright. 2.5 miles. 2.5 miles, but I'm going to call it 2 miles. Yeah, that's 158 miles. That leaves with 342 more miles to go. Man, thanks so much for being here again with me today. Suburban Hiker. Subscribe to the channel, drop some comments, like the video, all that good stuff. Man, thanks so much for being supportive of me and my hiking, my walking, as I try to make myself healthy. I guess I'm going to let you go. We'll see you in the next video.